is Wednesday night. It's October 19th, 2022. A brand new episode of the Boiler Breakdown podcast coming your way. Two-man show again this week, but I got one of my co-hosts back. Evan Webb's joining me. What's going on, Webby?
Good to be back. Thanks for having me back. Shout out to Mr. Eric Lee for holding down the fort for us last week.
We got through it. There were some bumps, but we got through it. We're missing our third man, Andrew Eiler, tonight, but hopefully next week we'll have the three-man crew back. We'll see. This thing called
talking about a curse that's been broken.
Next week. We can hope, and he lives in that state. So
yes, that's what we needed.
maybe all it needs is Andrew moving to Wisconsin. We'll see. But we'll get into previewing the Wisconsin game in a bit. But first, let's talk about the Boilers' big win over the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Survived a shootout, beating them 43-37. 4-game win streak for the Boilers now, first time since 2018. Of course, they'll be going for a 5-game win streak this weekend up in Madison. That would be the first 5-game win streak since they started off 5-0 in 2007, if they can do that. But good win for the Boilers Saturday night. I mean, it wasn't an A-plus performance by any means, but offense got the job done when they needed to.
Absolutely. It was a game that, I mean, kind of how it's been all season, was a game that I feel like Purdue could have easily put away when given the chance, but they didn't. And then secondary really struggled, really for probably the first time where we saw secondary truly struggle consistently. And sometimes throughout the season they've maybe had a little bit of hiccups, but they've usually been able to bounce back, or it's happening at the very last play of the game. But this was a game where they continually got burnt by one particular guy, and I mean, definitely caused them for concern, but thankfully O'Connell was on his A game and kind of helped overcome some of those, which kind of almost something we thought was going to be the case coming into the season, was that Aiden was going to have to lead us to victory, throwing for 350 yards each and every game, putting up all these points, but it hasn't been the case all year. But it was nice to kind of see him be able to sling it like he was.
Yeah, Aiden was a bona fide stud, especially in the fourth quarter. I just don't get nervous with him back there. He's calm, cool, collected, knows where he's going with the football, and man, is he accurate.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the defense for a little bit, we'll get back on talking about AOC here in a little bit. But yeah, the defense played good in the first half. I thought it was the best our pass rush had looked all year long. But like you said, they exposed something late. Once again, that first half, when they went down and kicked a field goal, they saw something, made some adjustments at halftime, and Casey Thompson and Stanley Morgan were like Steve Young to Jerry Rice in that second half. I don't know how worried we should be going forward about that. Nebraska does that to a few people. I mean, now Stanley Morgan, that was one of the best, if not the best, single game performance a wide receivers had in Nebraska history.
You mean Trey Palmer?
Yeah, why do I keep saying Stanley Morgan? Stanley Morgan's a guy that used to play for them. Wow. Thank you for correcting me, because I would have kept doing that.
It's all right.
Yes, Trey Palmer. That's right, Trey Palmer. But, this weekend we'll be playing a Wisconsin team that they're known for running the ball. They don't pass it or pass it very well. Last year when they beat us, they only attempted 8 passes. They just ran all over us.
Right. Our run defense has been pretty good all year, but I mean, it'll be a real test because Wisconsin running backs, you change the name, keep the same jersey, and it's the same result typically against Purdue. But hopefully, we'll get more into that later. But it'll be a true test. But I think definitely probably some of the more athletic and maybe physically athletic receivers that we've probably faced here. I mean, maybe Penn State probably had if not more, probably definitely the second closest that we'll see probably all season. Let's play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, it was. Palmer. 7 catches for 237 yards, 2 touchdowns, longest of 72. I think for a defense that hadn't given up very many plays, more than 20, we sure gave up quite a few on Saturday.
Well, and he had a big run too on a reverse at one point.
I was looking at his stats at 1 for 60 yards. I was like, I don't remember that 1 yard. I don't remember that one run.
Going into this game, we were leading the Big Ten in rushes that were 10-plus yards and 20-plus yards, but Nebraska popped a few on us the other night. So But look at defensive stats. Jalen Graham led the team in tackles once again. Still great
Again.
to have number 6 back. He had 6 tackles and he had a sack. He had one of the team's 4 sacks. Branson Dean had a sack. Kydron Jenkins had a sack. Jack Sullivan had a sack. We had 2 interceptions. Clyde Washington got his first interception of the year. I think he kind of surprised himself that he caught the ball because he just got Casey Thompson threw it right to him. And then Reese Taylor. We've been hard on Reese at times this year, but he made a great pick in a huge point of the game. Not that he didn't have a few breakdowns and a few penalties during that game, but Big Ten refs were on their A game like they always are. But going back to the offense side of the ball, I said we'd talk about AOC a little more. He was 35 for 54 for 391 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. That 1 pick was on the first drive of the game.
It was just a boneheaded one too. That was the thing. It was just like it was very uncharacteristic. It was we didn't need it at the time. It was first drive, like just taking a deep shot, and it was kind of like because we were driving, pretty much with ease, and then that was frustrating.
I don't remember if that was second down or third down, but he threw it to. He was trying to go to. I don't even remember who he was trying to throw to, but it was in double coverage.
I thought it was second down, but I'm not sure. I was one of those things where it was like we didn't need that, but I don't know.
But he was awesome in the fourth quarter, like we said. Made some huge plays. One with his feet on fourth down when the play broke down, thanks to Nebraska tackling 3 of our guys.
And hurting 2 of them in the play.
Yeah. And then that touchdown throw to Charlie Jones was an unbelievable throw. He had to fit that in a very tight pocket, and he did that because if that defender breaks in that ball, that might be 100 going the other way.
Oh, easily. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody that's going to catch him.
I mean, that's maybe the hardest 2-yard throw you can make with the angle across the field and everything. But that was a pro's throw there. Devin Mockabee continues to be a story for Purdue. I mean, where would Purdue be without Devin Mockabee? I don't even want to think about it. 30 rushes for 178 yards and a touchdown. Kendo Rue made his return. First action I think he's had since week 2 of the season, if I'm not mistaken. 8 rushes for 31 yards. And Kobe Lewis had 3 for 10 yards. Receiving wise, it was nice to see Chuck Sizzle, Charlie Jones, return in his form. 12 catches, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's now second in the country in touchdowns and catches and 7th in yardage. He's still having a fabulous year. He got out of hell, which is Iowa, and came to wide receiver heaven, which is West Lafayette. TJ Sheffield, really good game. 5 catches, 70 yards, 2 touchdowns. I keep telling you, I think he's got to emerge as our number 2 guy, even though he's a slot guy. Kendo Rue had 2 catches for 38 yards. Andrew Sowinski, who is a redshirt sophomore,
okay, we're like, who the hell is this kid?
4 catches for 34 yards. So, they must really believe in him, and he's proven himself to be reliable. Payne Durham, 5 catches, 30 yards. Mershawn Rice, 2 catches, 29 yards. Mockabee, 2 catches, 28 yards. Tyron Tracy, 2 for 21. And Abdur Rahman Yassin.
There you go.
There we go. I had to read it. I couldn't do it off the top of my head. 1 catch for 9 yards. So still knocking some rust off there.
Yeah, there was a couple. There was one play in particular. I remember he definitely turned the wrong way. I think Aiden was like throwing into his out shoulder, to more out shoulder, and he turned in, and I think it might be like on a third down too. It was just one of those things where just the chemistry wasn't there yet.
Yep. So, and hopefully Brock Thompson will be coming back soon. He tweeted something pretty positive. I think it was yesterday. So I'm thinking maybe after the bye week, maybe Iowa.
That's what I'm thinking too. I'm hoping to get a lot of these, Jefferson back. Hopefully, when he takes care of whatever he needs to take care of, Thompson, and give Charlie Jones a chance to rest because he's banged up again. I mean, a lot of these guys are banged up, so just hopefully we can get a lot of the guys back after a hopeful W this weekend. Yeah,
I wish the bye week was this week, but just get through the week somehow, get a W. Then rest up for a November stretch. I mean, I know you and I would have definitely taken this. I think we actually talked about this when October started. I think pretty much every Purdue fan would have taken 3-1 when you told them at the beginning of this month. But the fact that we have a chance to go 4-0 right there and make this a special month would be pretty fun.
Yeah, it was 3-1. We know with a very realistic chance that 2-2 was probably being Minnesota and who they've been against us, and then obviously Wisconsin. We'll believe it when we see it, but the fact that we're 3-0, sitting chance to go 4-0, and kind of the month we were thinking was going to define our season is really good spot to be in.
Maybe if we can go 4-0, a little shades of the October in 2000 that the Rose Bowl team had when they beat Michigan, Northwestern, Wisconsin, and Ohio State. And Golden Black podcast, I'm going to give a shout out to another Purdue podcast here. They did a Monday Night Memories with some of the members from that 2000 Rose Bowl team and just talk about October. And it was really fun to listen to the stories and some insight. Vinny Sutherland, Gilbert Gardner, a couple other guys that were on there. So very, very cool. Go check it out if you haven't done so already. But the one thing that concerns me is Purdue still can't step on somebody's throat when they need to. Up 17 points, not too far from halftime. I think it was 5 minutes before half. Feeling pretty good. They let Nebraska go down and get that field goal, and then they strike real fast to begin the second half, get within 7, and then it was a dogfight clear to the end. But this Purdue team's got fight, and they know how to finish games, and that's weird because they didn't finish the Penn State and Syracuse games, but they finished every other game they needed to, excluding Indiana State because that game was over from the get-go. But so many times, especially in the last 10 years or so, Purdue's been on the wrong side of these close games.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll take the wins for sure, but it's easy to find something to complain about. But yeah, you'd like to see, especially with the talent that we've got and just the way we've been able to get ahead of some of these teams. Like you'd like to see that. It's definitely the next step. Of hopefully we can maybe take that step. Hopefully in say November or something if we can get through this month. 4-0 potentially, but yeah, that's because it very easily could be, a lot of these games could have gone the other way. So it's thankfully they've kind of gutted them out, but yeah, there's eventually they're going to catch up to you.
Yeah, and talking with a lot of Purdue fans, they're all like, we could easily be 6-1, if not 7-0, which is true, but we could also be 1-6, 2-5.
Yeah,
so it is. It's just the way Purdue football's going this year. It's going to be a close game. You're going to get your money's worth of your ticket. If you're looking for an interesting game, that's just how it goes, and we'll see how it goes on Saturday. One thing that is concerning to me, it's been kind of a trend lately, is special teams, field goal kicking, I should say, which Mitchell Finneran just doesn't look like the same guy as he was last year. You can tell he's lacking confidence, and it's starting to bother him pretty bad.
Yeah, he was, borderline nails last year, and then this year it's like, we were kind of talking about the game on Saturday. It's like we just don't trust him. The extra point. It's the fact that we had done what we needed to do, but yet we still could have lost the game because of a stupid missed extra point. Ansel wasn't too bad on the punting side, but because I think he had, let's see here, he had 2 for 55, but one of them was 15 yards, I think, because that one was a touchback. But yeah, the field kicking, I'm not confident right now. And even we've seen kickoffs, we've seen multiple times where we've kicked it out of bounds, and it's just in really inopportune time. So, we're kind of seeing it, kind of a common thread to the Jeff Brom era ever since Tony Levine left, was special teams just haven't been very solid year to year.
It'll be interesting and I hope this isn't the case, if he does struggle Saturday up at Camp Randall, if during the bye week they kind of open it up again, because we have other kickers.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it might as well just kind of see what else you got. So.
So, any other thoughts on the win over Nebraska?
Crowd was great. It was great to another night game at Ross-Ade. Can't get enough of those because we didn't have them for decades.
We're getting our fair share this year. Wow.
Yeah. Crowd was great. Hammer down cancer game. It was cool to see. The student section showed out again. So it was. It's always a good time.
Gold jerseys are.
Yeah, Nebraska brought a good crowd. So, but they're, for as much as crap as we like to give Nebraska fans, I didn't really have any issues with the ones that we were near. So.
No, they were nice. It was a young guy with 3 of his boys, so yeah, they were fine. They're fine. They might have learned some choice words or two, but that's okay. That's okay. Bill's character.
Exactly.
It was in those gold jerseys are grown on me. Purdue's first win in a gold jersey since 2003. So
yeah, I go back and forth just because it's a weird shade of gold. There's no way we could wear them with our gold helmets because it would just look too dumb because the golds are dumb match. But that's just kind of. I love Nike, but man, they make some interesting choices.
You're right. And I think I would like them a little better if the black wasn't on the shoulder pads, but still, you're right. The shade's a little off. But I'm fine bringing them out once a year. It'll be interesting to see what we wear on November 5th against Iowa, which is also sold out. It's the first time back-to-back home games sold out since 2018. So credit to the fans again. That was one thing, and I'm sure this is going to be talked about in future podcasts, but I hope I'm wrong. But say Jeff Brom does leave after the season, it's not due to the lack of support for the program because everybody's showed out. Showed out. So.
I've heard this talked about on other podcasts. But like with Purdue, we're kind of in a cool. I mean, obviously you'd love to be, the Alabamas of the world, and the compete for national championship. Like being a Purdue fan is really fun because, yes, we don't have the championship aspirations, at least not in football, just because it's just the way college football set up is just
so hard to do.
It's so hard to do, and borderline impossible for a program like Purdue. But it's like we're not expecting that level, but it's like you can get us to like consistent 8 wins, even like 6 wins. Like you saw what happens after we win 6 games. Like people show up, and it's like so. It's not hard to get Purdue fans to be excited about football and get them to show up. And you just what we saw, what can happen when you don't do it, because then you get 10,000 people showing up like we saw when we were in school. And it's a credit to Brom what he's done, but just kind of revitalizing the program. And we grew up in a very cool time and very lucky to see the kind of the tail end of the Tiller's era, and growing up in formative years with Kyle Orton and seeing Ross-Ade always sold out and packed, and now we're kind of getting another taste of that, which has been just so much fun.
Yep. And we're not saying like for certain or anything that Jeff Brom's leaving after this year. And I hope he doesn't. I hope he stays at Purdue the rest of his coaching career. But all I will say on that until we talk about it future episode is he will leave Purdue whenever he does. If he does, he will leave it better than he found it. Absolutely.
Light years ahead of where he found it.
So, and it's interesting though. You're bringing up, he went 8 games, 9 games, or whatever, and that's a great season. It's interesting what you got to do to enjoy college football compared to college basketball. Like college football, like you said, it is so hard to make the playoffs, even the conference championship. You can have an 8 or 9 win season, get to a nice bowl game, be competitive, or even win the bowl game, and it's a fun season and it's looked at as a success. Whereas basketball, you don't make a deep run in the tournament, it doesn't really matter what you did in the regular season. It's just interesting to how the enjoyment of both sports can be so different.
Oh yeah, and part of it too is with Purdue basketball, we've seen the Big Ten championships, we've seen we've seen the Big Ten tournament championships, like we've seen the upsets over big teams and all that, which is a lot of fun. But it's just kind of it's a good spot to be in. The fact that the next step is the Final Four and making that deep run that we haven't seen since 1980. So, that also kind of sucks, too, because, I enjoyed the hell out of last year. Not to bring up last year's basketball season, but, obviously the ending does leave a sour taste in your mouth. Or we've seen, even the year before, when we, had no expectations and all these freshmen are just, showing out, and we have such a fun season, beating Ohio State at the last second, and then lose North Texas in the first round. It's it didn't suck as bad as last year because it was we got all these guys coming back, but still it was oh, man, we could have, we're a better team than that, or what we've seen in the past. But that's also that's the tournament too.
It's kind of a crapshoot in a way.
It is. It's the worst way to determine a champion, but it's also the most fun way.
Correct.
So
I swear, if the NCAA adds more teams to it, I saw Missouri's coach came out there, their new basketball coach. He wants it doubled. I'm don't mess with it.
I think I saw something.
Don't mess with it. That's the way to ruin the fun. If you would mess with it, 100 some teams, and that's just come on, you're not rewarding anybody. So
it was also Scott Drew says he'd like to see the NCAA tournament include another 60 teams.
No,
it's I'm not trying to. It's perfect. It was perfect at 64.
I didn't even like
teams.
Exactly. Stop messing with it now. Football, I think, and I've seen expand it, but
I've seen even people like Hammer and Rail say if you, especially in the power 6, I should say, if you're under 500 in your conference regular season, you shouldn't even be in the tournament. If you can't even, I think that's a pretty simple. Concept. If you can't win half the games in your conference, you shouldn't be amongst the better teams in the conference or in the tournament.
Right.
So
right. So got a text message from Full Steam Aheads, I should say, Adam Bartels. He said, first win in gold jersey since 03, first win at Wisconsin since 03, ? Which would be the first win not only at Wisconsin, but the first win over Wisconsin since 03. It's been 15 straight for the Badgers over the Boilermakers. They are the monkey on Purdue's back. Most of those have been ugly. We've seen P.J. Hill run all over Purdue. We've seen James White. We've seen Melvin Gordon. We've seen Monty Ball. We've seen Jonathan Taylor. Now, Braylon Allen did it last year, and so did their other running back they had last year.
Yeah.
If he, I don't know if he's still there or not. If he is, he's the backup behind Allen. I mean, we've had some close games. 04 was a heartbreaker. I'm not going to bring that up again. 2018 was a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
Played him tough in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Played him tough a little bit last year. Second half got away from us. That was probably Aiden's worst game last year. But this year looks like it could be the time to get him. But Purdue is a 2.5-point underdog up at Camp Randall. It's going to be interim coach Jim Leonard's first home game. It's his third game overall as the head coach or the interim head coach with the Badgers, but first home game. So I got to think the crowd's going to be a little fired up because they need this one if they want any chance to do anything. 3:30 ESPN kickoff. It's going to be an interesting one. I'm still nervous. I don't feel very confident for some reason.
I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic just because it's like I like the way we're playing for the most part. I mean, there's a down Wisconsin team, but again, like how until we you line it up, like how much what does a down Wisconsin team look like against Purdue? Like I mean, they're still, like we said, it's gonna be a typical Wisconsin team. Not gonna be a whole lot of passing most likely, but if we can get them to pass, I think that's the big thing is with a team like that is get out ahead of them early and make them throw. Because if they have to throw, I think I really like our chances. But if they can, same with like in Illinois, like down the road, like we get to that game, like make them throw. And
Yep. And Wisconsin's weakness on defense is their secondary. Is their pass. They've been getting torched with the pass, so that's good for us. But all of a sudden, what's scary about Purdue to some opponents is not only can Purdue pass, all of a sudden Purdue's got a run game too.
Yeah, crazy legs Mockby.
Mock Train. Too.
Yeah.
So he's got two nicknames. I got a comment here from Thad Mooney. Says, looks like it should be our year to beat them so we can do the Purdue thing and give them the game on a silver platter.
I mean,
it's hard not to dispute that because when you've lost to a team 15 times in a row, it's just one of those I'll believe it when I see it type things.
Right.
I think we're the better team. I really do. I think we're the better football team. But you just got to do it. You just got to take care of the ball. You can't, we got away with 3 turnovers at Minnesota and at Maryland and got the wins. Do that Saturday, I'm not sure you can come away with a win.
Right.
But like you said, get on them early, establish a little run game, but then pass all over them. So keep them on their heels, and we'll see what happens. It would be a huge win. It would get Purdue bowl eligible. It would be 5 in a row. It'd get Purdue ranked again because Purdue is the top receiving vote getter outside the AP top 25, knocking on the door. So it'd be a heck of a way to go into the bye week.
So if we do win, and we were 6-2, would this be the quickest? When was the last time we reached 6 wins that quickly?
I'm guessing 07.
Was it 07?
I'm guessing because I know we were. I think we were 7-2 that year, and then lost 3 in a row to end the year, and then won the Motor City Bowl over Central Michigan, if I'm correct.
Let's see here. So we started at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-0. Then we lost to Ohio State. Lost at Michigan. Then we beat Iowa. So
we were 6-2.
Yep. And then we beat Northwestern. So we were 7-2.
I remember
3 straight. Like
I remember Dorian Bryant. They asked him about something after that Northwestern game was 7-2, and he's like, because we had an outside shot at Pasadena because I think Ohio State went to the championship. And he said something like, "Oh, we don't want to lose 3 straight and back our way into Detroit," and that's exactly what happened. It's like, dang it! Like
I forgot that was the Austin Star game.
Yep. And senior day against Michigan State wasn't fun.
No,
they
lost
came in
by
and kind
17.
of clocked us. And I remember one of our good friends that we go to games with almost got in a fight with a Michigan State fan that game. So, I do remember that pretty well. I couldn't tell you who else. Oh, we lost at Penn State as well because Tiller still went to the grave thinking we got screwed by the refs that game.
Wow. I don't remember that. Yeah, we lost by a touchdown.
I remember Selwyn Lyman going out of bounds with under a minute to go right in front of the ref, and the refs, they never stopped the clock.
I remember that. Okay, I didn't remember that was who was against, but I remember that. I remember being, as a 15-year-old, being absolutely livid. Yeah, because we lost at Penn State, lost against Michigan State, lost to Indiana by 3, then beat Central Michigan in an absolute shootout. Curtis Painter and Dan Lefevre.
Dan Lefevre. Oh my, yeah. Yeah, that would have been a J.J. Watt would have been on that Central Michigan team, and Antonio Brown. So
What a squad.
yeah, really, getting some talent up there for the Chippewas back in the day. But Butch Jones was their coach too. Jeez, look at that.
I forgot about that. Jeez. Star-studded.
No wonder why they were
It
really good at the
It was
back.
on ESPN. Yeah. Because that was the day after Christmas. I remember we got home from family Christmas and watched the game. And yeah, it was.
Yeah.
What was it? Who? Oh man, who hit the shot?
Chris Summers.
Chris Summers. Yeah.
He was nails that year, and then he
was.
wasn't so good the next year after
Yeah.
that. But good times to look back on. Good times. But we'll predict the Wisconsin game in a little bit. But let's go around the Big Ten and see what other games we got going on this week. And we don't have too many, only 5. IU at Rutgers. Rutgers is a 2-point favorite or 3-point favorite. Both these teams need this game really bad.
They do. Both. Yeah. Call it reverse psychology, but I think Indiana gets it done.
I do too. I think it'll be a close game, but I think IU's a little more talented.
I think Indiana has the best passing offense left on our schedule. I think some of the board posted like the passing off or the offensive passing rating for like the remaining schedule. I think IU had by far and away the better. Because Bazelak does throw the ball, he just also throws it to the opposing team quite a bit too.
True. Iowa at Ohio State. Ohio State's a 30-point favorite.
I think they cover that with ease. Does Iowa score a touchdown? That's the question.
I think Ohio State wins, but for some reason I do think Iowa covers. Iowa's defense is good enough, even though Ohio State's offense is amazing. Iowa's defense is good enough. I think they can cover that 30-point spread. But yeah, Peters.
Is that Fox Big Noon Saturday? Yes, it is. It's at noon on Fox.
Of course it is. It's Ohio State.
But it's Iowa.
Peters has thrown one more attempt than Stroud this year, passing attempt, but he hadn't even reached 1,000 yards. Yeah.
They've thrown the same amount of interceptions, 3, but Stroud has thrown 24 touchdowns, whereas Petrus has thrown 2.
Petrus, I keep calling Peters.
Yeah.
Petrus, Spencer Petrus. Yeah. Then we got.
Gosh. Their leading receiver doesn't even have a receiving touchdown.
That's why Charlie and Tyrone left. So got 1-5 Northwestern just having an awful season. At 5-2 Maryland, but I'm guessing Maryland's gonna be with their backup quarterback.
That's true.
But Maryland's still a 14-point favorite. And I still think they cover that with the backup quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, who does Northwestern have left on their schedule? They've got oh God. Okay, they go at Iowa next week. I mean, who knows? Could be like a 3-2 game. Then they host Ohio State. Yikes!
Oh boy.
Then they go at Minnesota. Then at Purdue. Then home against Illinois. They may not win another game.
They might not be an FBS team this year. Or they beat Nebraska.
They beat Nebraska.
I forgot about that. I was thinking they beat because they lost to the FCS team they played.
Lost to Illinois, lost to Miami, Ohio. Is Fitzgerald in trouble if they go 1-11?
I would think so, but everybody says no. So, I mean, because like my dad and I were talking about last week on the podcast, Dad's like, he's taking the Northwestern places they'd never been. But then I said, well, he played on the Rose Bowl team. Mm-hmm. But as a coach, yeah, he's done a pretty good job. But I got to think, like, this is a couple years in a row. I mean, throughout that washed 2020 season, they weren't good in 2019. They weren't good last year. They're not good this year. I mean, it's kind of a trend. And now with the NIL factor, I think that's going to hurt Northwestern. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, same thing with Northwestern basketball. It's like your coach has done the one thing that no one else has been able to do. Like, how do you get rid of him? But I mean, he's also not doing well right now.
Right. They're stuck. They're stuck in a rut. And so maybe get some heat on the seat at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Then the nightcap.
I remember when I wanted Fitzgerald for the Bears at one point.
Yeah. Yeah. Nightcaps 4-2 Minnesota, 2 losses in a row for PJ Fleck and his squad of rowers. At number 16, 5-1 Penn State, who is a 3.5-point favorite. I think the Nittany Lions cover that.
I think they do. Come off a tough loss against Michigan. Sorry, they play Ohio State next week.
Yeah, it doesn't get easy there.
No, I think they cover.
Going top 25 action. Number 14 ranked 6-0 Syracuse Orange. Yeah, they beat NC State, who's ranked. I'm still not a huge believer in this team, but they finally go away from the Dome for the second time this year. This one's to number 5 Clemson, who's a 13.5-point favorite.
Did you say they're going away for the second time this year, and it's October 22nd when they do this?
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go fact check myself.
Let's check. Okay, I'll pull it right now.
They were at UConn. Yeah, at UConn. Week 2.
Good Lord. I mean, I guess they finish up. Their last 2 games are on the road too, but jeez.
We'll find out a lot about them this week at Clemson and next week at home against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Even though Notre Dame, I mean, is there much you can tell from playing Notre Dame right now?
No, there's not.
I think Clemson covers. I do too. I think they're going to be in the playoff. They're pretty good. That defensive line's an NFL defensive line. Number 21, Cincinnati, 3.5-point favorite at SMU. Cincinnati's 5-1. SMU's 3-3.
Only a 3.5-point favorite. Interesting.
I think they win and cover. And
I think they do too.
Fickle's name's not really coming up for these big jobs, and I don't understand why.
I mean, because he was rumored for? What was he rumored for last year?
Well, Notre Dame shortly, but it was a couple years ago when Michigan State ended up with Mel Tucker. They offered Fickle the job, and he turned it down. His wife didn't like East Lansing.
Who does? I think Cincinnati covers that.
Good one down in Baton Rouge. Brian Kelly and his 5-2 LSU Tigers host number 7 ranked 7-0 Ole Miss. LSU's a 1.5-point favorite.
I'm going to go with the fighting Lane Kiffins.
I'm going to go with Brian Kelly in this one. LSU got a big win over Florida last week. I think they get this one done, but last time I picked them over a ranked opponent. That didn't go well against Tennessee. It's kind of funny when you think about SEC. Tennessee's getting all the hype for being undefeated. Georgia's getting a little talk undefeated. Then Ole Miss isn't getting talked about at all.
I was like, Ole Miss is 7th in the country.
Nobody's talking about them at all. So,
which, man, I'm really mad Ole Miss isn't playing Tennessee this year because I want to see what their fans would how they'd retaliate since they got mustard thrown at Lane Kiffin last year or something.
He got a golf ball thrown at him too.
That's what it was. Yes, yeah.
Even though he did on game day last week, they had him mic'd up when he was on the field at Ole Miss, and they were talking about him about the Alabama Tennessee game, and he said, "Go Vols today, beat Alabama." Mm-hmm. So I got the crowd cheering.
I mean, I feel like everybody wants to see Alabama lose.
But it was interesting because I'm like, Lane, you were just the OC at Alabama not too long ago.
It's true. I forgot about that. Yeah. Kind of revitalized his career a little bit after he sucked at Tennessee and didn't really do very well elsewhere.
Can you still hear me? I'm froze.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can get my camera going again. Am I still froze?
Yep.
Shoot.
Only the highest quality here on Golden Breakdown. So if you're listening, you have no idea what's even going on. No.
I'm going to keep talking.
That's fine.
See if I can get this thing going again. All right. So where do we leave off here?
Ole Miss LSU.
Yeah, good one in Pac-12. Number 9, undefeated, future Big Ten member, 6-0. UCLA at number 10, Oregon, 5-1, who's played well.
Big Ten
matchup. You're probably right. You're probably right. I like the Ducks at home.
In honor of your father's pick, I'm going to go UCLA.
I got to give him credit. I don't know how he so far is on the mark with that. I thought he was crazy before the year picking UCLA in his playoff, but so far so good.
Yeah.
Number 20, Texas, 6.5-point favorite at number 11, Oklahoma State, who choked away, which would have been a big win last week against TCU.
I'm going to go Oklahoma State bounces back with the home win.
I am too. I think Gundy's a really good coach, but of course last week goes right with what everybody says. He can't get over the hump.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just kind of stuck. But still a great program. But
absolutely.
Number 24, Mississippi State. Oh, these poor guys. 5-2, traveled to number 6, 6-1. Alabama is a 21-point favorite. I think they cover that. I always feel bad for the team who has to play Alabama after they lose.
I can't imagine film study the next day, especially for the defensive backfield who just got absolutely torched.
How about the kicker? He wasn't even close.
Did you hear about the conspiracy theory that Alabama fans were talking about today?
No.
Or talking about supposedly, a coworker told me this was apparently some Alabama fans who think that the field goal post that they missed the kick on, they're claiming that it was like smaller than regular size, which is why Tennessee tore it down.
I'm not gonna say what I want to because I don't have to put an explicit rating on this podcast, but. SEC fans are special. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
A good game at night down at TCU. TCU's a surprise team of the year for me. Sonny Dykes doing a really good job. They're ranked number 8. They're 6-0. They host number 17th ranked Kansas State, who's 5-1. Did you know Kansas State's the only FBS team not to throw an interception yet?
I did not know that.
And
wow.
Adrian Martinez was an interception king at Nebraska, and he hadn't thrown one.
Shows you what happens when you get away from Scott Frost.
Exactly.
I'm going to go TCU.
I am too. As your dad would say, purple makes you look fat. And this is a game of a lot of purple, TCU and Kansas State. I think it'll be a good one, but I think TCU gets it done.
A throwback to the Alamo Bowl. Is that when that chant was?
Yep. 97.
7? Yeah.
No, 98. 98.
Yeah.
97 was Oklahoma State Alamo Bowl.
Yep.
Quick note here, Adam Bartels of Full Steam Ahead Podcast. Let us know that Jaden Ivey's 19 points, 4 assists, 3 steals, 3 rebounds, and a Pistons win to start his career. So good start for the rookie. Good start.
Let's look at what did Paolo Banchero do? 27 points, 11 of 18, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. No, that's not too bad.
That's a pretty good night. I just saw the Pacers were losing last time I saw, so.
Well, let's see here.
To the Wizards.
They lost by 7.
Tank. Already. That's what they need to do.
I'm trying to think, who's going to be the number one. I'm trying to think who's even going to be the number one pick in college this
Zach Edey.
There you go.
No, I don't know.
Smith. Brain Smith.
There we go. There we go. Get it going on Twitter right now. I don't know. It'll be some freshman for Kentucky or Duke or North Carolina or something.
And just a sidebar, but this Pistons Orlando game is a game of a lot of great young talent between Jalen Suggs, Paolo Banchero for Orlando, and then Detroit. Obviously, you got Ivy, Cade Cunningham. You got some pretty awesome talent there. Hold on.
Well, that's what happens when you're
Buddy
so bad for
Boeheim
so
is on the Pistons. Shut
and
up.
He's in the league.
He didn't play, but yes, he played. Wow. Okay. Sorry. That just blew my mind. But
wish Carson was still in the league and on the Pistons. That would have been fun.
He's tearing it up in Turkey, though.
Yep, he's doing good. And Trey's not on the team right now, right?
I thought I saw he got released by the Warriors a couple times. Yeah. I feel like unless it was just reading the same report, but it looked like he got. Yeah, it'll be tough for him, but hopefully someone picks him up.
The Midwestern Cowboy, Dakota Mathias, is a Grizzly right now. So.
Which they are beating the Knicks.
Good.
By 7 right now. I'm going to assume he hasn't seen action, but we'll just check to make sure.
He might not even be dressed.
He's not even on the roster. But Jake LaRavia has gotten some run.
That's unbelievable.
That's wild.
My NBA fandom has fallen so far. I didn't know that the regular season was starting until you texted me earlier this week.
I'm upset. Being someone who lives in Indianapolis and being a massive Jaden Ivey fan as I am, the Pistons come to Indy on Saturday to play the Pacers, which I don't think I can go. But I was like, it'd be perfect time to go because it's Saturday. And I was like, I'll just catch them because I know they'll come back again. They don't come back to Indy until the second to last game of the season.
At that point, if
he could be shut down at that point if they suck. So
right. Or even if they clinch playoffs, they might rest.
Right, yeah. So, I'm very upset. So maybe I'll visit Andrew in Milwaukee.
There you go.
Bucks.
There you go. Fiserv Forum.
Yep.
Fiserv Forum. So let's circle back. Purdue, Nebraska. Wow. Red. Purdue, Wisconsin this weekend. Like we said, 3:30 ESPN Camp Randall. Wisconsin's 2.5-point favorite. Score prediction and MVP of the game for the Boilers.
I mean, I got to pick Purdue. It hasn't happened, but I'm going to say Purdue 24-21. Finneran with the game-winning kick. Shades of Ben Jones in 2003.
There we go. Kyle Orton to what was that? Ray Williams? Was it Roy?
I don't remember. I remember. I wasn't able to watch that game. I was at like
number
a
two.
Boy Scout
He wore
camp,
number
and I was
two.
listening to
I'm
it.
gonna look.
I think Ray Williams. Yeah, because didn't he get transferred or didn't he transition to like a cornerback?
Yes, he did his senior year.
But MVP, I'm gonna say AOC.
AOC. I'm looking up the roster just to make sure here. Why can I never find it? Yes, Ray Williams. He was a sophomore. He had 15 catches that year for 204 yards. No bigger than that one that day. That was, everybody remembers game day being the 04 game, of course, at Purdue. That was also college game day in 03.
That's right. I forgot that we did back-to-back Wisconsin game days. Fun. I was looking at the stats. Graham Mertz has thrown one more touchdown and one more pick than Aiden O'Connell.
Wow.
But he's completed 72 less passes.
We were talking about game day, and if I don't say this is going to bother me, and of course we all know how the fumble game ended. But there's a lot of people have documented that if Purdue would have won that game against Wisconsin, game day was coming back to Purdue the very next week for the Michigan game. It was going to be the first time ever they went to the same location 2 weeks in a row.
Dang it.
Yeah, I know, that would have been pretty cool.
Because they've been to Knoxville twice this year, right? But it wasn't obviously back to back.
Right, because there was a lot of people that were not a lot. There was some people that were surprised last week that they didn't go somewhere else just because they already been there. But it was the biggest home game Tennessee had since Peyton Manning's been there. So
yeah, and you're talking two top 10 teams, I guess.
Right,
really like top 8 teams,
right.
And it's Alabama. So
hey, maybe Purdue will be a game day visitor this week or this year at November 12th. Maybe. That is one of the Power 5 programs game day's never been to, Illinois.
The thought of Purdue, Illinois game day for football is just hilarious to me.
on our previous show when we did the confident points, I did say that game scared me, but I had no idea Illinois was going to be 6-1 on October 19th.
What did I have for that game? So I can find it. It's right here. I had that was a 9.
I think that was my Syracuse game was a 9.
I had Maryland as a 5, Nebraska as a 6.
Wisconsin won for all of us across the board.
Yep.
I think Minnesota was 2s and 3s.
Yeah, Minnesota 2, Penn State 3, Northwestern 4. That might look a little better right now. Maryland 5, Nebraska 6, Iowa 7, Indiana 8, Illinois 9. God, I'd like to switch those now. Syracuse was 10. Yeah, FAU was 11, and Indiana State was 12.
Yeah. Good stuff. But, I've been telling everybody that's been asking me this week that I'll believe it when I see it. As far as Purdue, and I still will. But being a Purdue podcast, I don't know I think I have picked against Purdue before, but it's not very many times.
Yeah.
I will go with the Boilers. 28-27. Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Player of the game. Gotta go mock train.
Okay. What do we see? Because I'm pretty sure. So Jalen had a defensive touchdown last year, right? Was it a scoop or was it a pick or was it a scoop and score?
It was George Karlaftis.
Was it George last year?
Yep.
Okay. Didn't George have one in 19 as well? I feel like there's been a couple years where we've had like defensive touchdowns against Wisconsin, unless I'm just remembering the same play.
Now Jalen Graham had a pick 6 against Nebraska last year.
Maybe that's what.
He had 2 picks against Nebraska.
Yeah.
But I think we're due for a defensive touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I still think we're due for a special teams touchdown. Excuse me. But I've said that all year long. Our special teams, I also noticed last week that our kick coverage doesn't get down the field very fast for whatever reason. And then even on punts, like Charlie tries to return a lot of them, our punt coverage is not very good either. So our special teams right now is just not that solid.
Nope.
And we need that when you're on the road in the Big Ten. So, yep. But it'll be a fun one to watch. I hope. So, any final thoughts on football? Any thoughts on basketball before we do some sponsor reads?
I mean, AP poll came out for basketball as we kind of expected. Purdue was not receiving votes, but not ranked, which I'm fine with. Only 3 Big Ten teams were ranked. Indiana was like 13th. Michigan was 20th.
Illinois 23rd.
Michigan was 24th, or
Yeah.
they were 22nd, something like that. I don't know. But interesting. Yeah, I mean, the Big Ten. I mean, you could say it's down, but they've lost so much. But it's interesting to see kind of who steps up, because last year we weren't really expecting Johnny Davis to be the star that he was, or even Keegan Murray. We kind of knew about Jaden Ivey and some of those guys, but so interesting who can emerge as a star in the league this year.
Yep, basketball season will be here before we know it. I mean, just a couple weeks away. The first regular season game is November 8th against Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So it's coming. It's coming. Our basketball preview will be coming. Maybe if we have time, maybe we'll do a basketball trivia episode.
Mm-hmm.
I can probably work that in, but maybe we'll see if we can get some people available for that. That might be fun to do. It's tough when we get to this part of the season, because then our podcasts become 2 sports into one. So our episodes become even longer than we're doing tonight. But it's fun. We enjoy it that way. It should be a fun basketball season. It's kind of one of those seasons not sure what to expect. And sometimes those are more fun than when you have high expectations and feel all the pressure. So, but one thing that's been constant for the Boiler Breakdown the last few years is a sponsorship from Mad Mushroom. And I don't have my read up, so I'm doing it off the top of my head. If you go into Mad Mush, tell them the Boiler Breakdown sent you, or you can use promo code BREAK5 online at madmushroom.com for $5 off any order over $20. That includes the pizza of the month, which this month, the pizza for October is Rachel's Chicken Parm. It's their traditional pizza sauce, lots of chicken, not a little, lots, mozzarella and Parmesan cheeses, and finished with fresh basil. And that starts for the low price of $14. So get 2 of those bad boys and use the code BREAK5. Jeez, I am butchering this. This is why I need to read it in front of me. Code BREAK5 for $5 off any order over $20. Or if you don't want 2 pizzas, but you got to get a cheese stick. You can't go to Mad Mush and not get their famous cheese stick. They're known as the home of the original cheese stick. Get a pizza, get a cheese stick, use that code. Or like you said, if you go there in person, just tell them the Boiler Breakdown sent you. You'll get $5 off any order over $20. That's Mad Mushroom. Feed your head.
If you don't follow the Mad Mush Twitter account, you are missing out, because they are fantastic on game day.
They are. Even not on game days, they're always clever and creative with their tweets. But on game days, they go above and beyond. What's the shop got going on, Webby? I know they had a big sale going on yesterday, and I think some new hoodies.
Yeah.
Some new hoodies came out today.
Yeah, some new crew necks. Or I didn't even see that today. I've been on the road today. But yeah, the Boiler Breakdown is brought to you by The Shop. The Shop has been bringing sports and hometown apparel to the fans since 2011. From their humble beginnings in garages and basements, you can find them at their 2 retail stores and online. They make comfortable shirts. It makes everybody happy. The Shop is located in Carmel and Indianapolis, as well as online at theshopindy.com. They make the best shirts, period. Next time you're shopping online, use code BREAKDOWN for 25% off your order. Thank you again for The Shop for joining for their second season with the Boiler Breakdown sponsor. We love them. Just got some brand new shirts for Purdue. Kind of the day the jerseys were announced, they came with a shirt that strangely resembled a jersey. It's like they knew what was coming. I'm a little suspicious there. Yeah. But yeah, Mason Gillis NIL shirt, and also Caleb First NIL shirt. So go support our athletes. New crew neck came out last week, and I haven't seen the new hoodies this week yet. But
I'm not sure if it was Purdue. I just saw new hoodies. I didn't look into it very far. So
let's go to the Twitter machine and see what they're.
I know they were having a big sale today for Pacer items too. With today being
they just got a new sponsorship deal with the Pacers.
Mm-hmm. If you're a vintage Pacer fan too, the 90s, early 2000s, they got a lot of great stuff. Reggie Miller, Rick Smits, Marcus Squarina, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, check out The Shop. So they've got 2 retail locations, great stores. Then obviously online you can find a lot of goodies on there.
Yep. So no excuse not to get some pizza on game day and get some great Purdue apparel for game days. So because you're going to need plenty of it the rest of the football season and basketball season. Get some hoodies. It's getting cold out there. I don't like it, but it is what it is. So any final thoughts, Webby, as we wrap up this week's episode?
It's a big one on Saturday. I mean, chance to go 4-0 in October would be incredible, and also kind of get that Wisconsin monkey off our back, so we can finally shut up about it. Yeah, let's go
Gotta
take the
do
Big
it
Ten West.
sometime.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to be Big Ten West, so even if it's a down year for Wisconsin, you got to go through Wisconsin because they're going to probably be there in the end regardless. And hope that Illinois trips up, and let's go take the Big Ten West.
Let's do it. Let's boil up, hammer down, and beat the Badgers.
Boil up.